This is the rocker, Keith Ramsey from Deep South Paranormal, and you're listening to Steve and Naomi on Into the Unknown Realm on DTM Wicked Radio.
Welcome into the unknown realm with your hosts, Steve and Naomi from S.T.U.R.S Paranormal. Take a journey with us into a world that few understand and even fewer dare to go. On your home for everything wicked, DTMWickedRadio.com. Welcome into the unknown realm. I am Naomi.
And I am Steve.
And we are excited.
It's been a crazy weekend.
Definitely. It feels like, we had a long weekend, but it just went, phew.
Yeah, it went so quick. 3 days. Where'd they go?
Yes, happy Columbus Day to everybody. We are excited because this Thursday we are having our big event.
Big.
Our big little event. We are having our haunted evening with STURS, our team. We have some fantastic guests coming. We have from Ghost Hunters Academy, Jane Riley coming. And we also have our friend Dina Flanagan, who is a psychic medium. You heard her on our show. She is going to be doing a gallery reading, connecting you guys with your loved ones, which is awesome.
And that will be happening inside the Haunted Theater.
Yes, inside, which our team was premiered on for My Ghost Stories at the Seacoast Rep, and that's in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And so I think there's a few tickets left. So if you have not gotten your tickets, go get them now, right now.
It all goes to a good cause. Half the proceeds going to the Seacoast Rep, the other half, plus all the proceeds from the raffle are going to the Boston Children's Hospital.
So that's huge. That's big for us because, as we said before, Boston Children's Hospital has strongly affected my daughter and Steve's daughter, and also the spouse of one of our teammates, who is also our Bigfoot hunter. And he as well will be at our event speaking about Bigfoot hunting. We have a lot of really cool things going on. It's going to be a paranormal fun night, and you are going to get the rare opportunity to investigate the Seacoast Rep, which our team is the only team that has been allowed to investigate there as of yet. And this is a great opportunity for you. So if you want to join us, definitely go get your tickets. Like I said, there's only a few left. So definitely jump right on that. You can go to www.seacoastrep.org. We will be starting our raffle on that day. It's going to go to the very end of the month, and it's going to be awesome. There's a whole
tons of people that are well known in this field offering some really great gifts, should we call them, donations.
Yep.
For the cause. One
fantastic donation, which I want myself, and I've actually experienced it 2 times, and you, our team, is the owner of Rolling Hills Asylum, Sharon, wonderful lady who's actually a native of New Hampshire. She has donated 2 tickets for a, what does she call it? When they
it's an investigation of the Rolling Hills Asylum.
It's 2 tickets for it. It's 8 hours. You are locked into Rolling Hills Asylum, which is the 2nd most haunted place in the United States, 4th in the world. This is an amazing place. I know you want it.
We have definitely witnessed some stuff there ourselves. So.
Oh, yes. Lots of very cool stuff. Very, very worth it.
That's a whole different show.
Yes. Whole different show. But What you were going
I
to say?
know. I'm just saying we need to get to our guest.
Oh, definitely.
She's sitting in the wings, and she's actually part of the A&E family of mine. Or maybe I'm of hers.
First of all, we also want to say congratulations to the Patriots for winning. But anyways, tonight I'm so excited because those who know me know, like, my favorite ghost hunting show that I used to watch very faithfully all the time, above all the other shows, and I feel bad saying that because we've had some amazing people that have been from all the other shows, but my favorite show is Paranormal State, and we have with us tonight Katrina Weidman. So we'd like to welcome Katrina to the show.
Welcome, Katrina.
Hey, guys.
Welcome. Not to put you on the spot, sorry.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm thrilled that you joined us. This is awesome. You also are part of Chiller's Real Fear, The Truth Behind the Movies, which I think is awesome. That is an awesome theory. I mean, to go and kind of find out the truth behind all these great movies that we all kind of grew up on, you know, like Friday the 13th and Poltergeist and
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, oh my gosh, Amityville. You know, all this great stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's been a really fun project to work on. You know, getting to meet with the people that the movies are based off of and hear the stories from their mouth. You know, it's quite different from what we see on screen.
Yeah, definitely. You know, with us, one movie that's kind of surreal for us is The Conjuring, which was a great movie in itself. And then to have Andrea Perron, who was the eldest daughter of the Perron family, come on our show. And then, of course, we also, I got to read one of her books. And it's amazing to kind of see the background of what these movies were created from. And and yet, like with her situation, there's so much more than what's in the movie that happened. And some things were different and some things were the same. And it's cool. And so for you guys to go and do this with all these great movies that everybody, you know, has watched over and over again, and they're classics, and that's awesome. That's very cool. And so I'm wondering, like, out of all the ones that you folks already did, what's your most memorable or the one that stands out the most to you? And can you tell us, like, what you found out about it?
Yeah, I mean, two of them just from different for different reasons. I mean, Amityville, just because it's Amityville. You know, I mean, what kid didn't hear about Amityville growing up? And, you know, especially being in the field, I think that's the first time I heard that, you know, there was anything like a demonic haunting. You know, when I was growing up, and, you know, we had our haunted house. It wasn't anything like that. And then, you know, reading ghost stories as a kid, you don't hear, I mean, or you don't read about those types of stories. You know, they're kind of mom and pop hauntings about a grandfather coming back from the grave, you know, to warn you of something. So I remember as a kid hearing about Amityville and just being like, what? Like, that happens? That's a real thing that happens? So it was really cool meeting with you know, with Christopher and hearing about his stories. You know, and basically what he said was, you know, obviously the movie isn't what really happened in their house. Obviously things were, you know, exaggerated for film's sake. But, you know, my conversations with him, he did say, you know, things absolutely did happen. It's just not what we saw on screen. You know, and I did have private conversations with him where he went into a little bit more detail, but those are private conversations, and unfortunately I can't share them. And then Centralia, just because I have a personal connection with Centralia. My grandmother's side of the family is from there. So, so, you know, we've always heard about Centralia. I was up there as a kid. And when I had gone up, they had been evacuating for a number of years, but it was still a town. I mean, I remember seeing a pet shop up there. I remember seeing lots of houses. There were still streets and everything. And then to go up there as an adult and see the town completely wiped out, besides maybe 4 buildings and a church, it was pretty overwhelming. So I have to say those two stick out to me out of all the movies we've done.
So what are the two things, for both those movies, the one thing that stood out the most to you that was completely misrepresented in the movies versus in real life?
Well, I think with Amityville, it's just, kind of the hype that the movie went to versus what really happened in the family sticks out to me, because especially when you're in the field and you're working with people, you hear kind of the rumors about Amityville of either, oh, it wasn't real, it was all a hoax, or, yeah, dude, there really was blood coming out of the wall. You kind of hear both sides of the coin. And so it was just nice to finally be able to sit down with somebody who was actually there. And, obviously I've worked with Lorraine, for many, many years, so I've heard Lorraine's, take on everything. But an investigator's point of view versus the client's point of view is very different. Even as investigators, we get emotionally involved. When you're the client and you don't have a background in any of this, it's a much different feeling and a much different story to tell. So it was really interesting to me to sit down with Chris and just hear what he thinks started everything, which was George's meditation techniques that he was using at the time. So I think that was really interesting. And as far as what's being what's the word I'm looking for? What's a misrepresentation on screen versus real life? I would say that would be it. And then with Centralia, I mean, it's kind of funny because Silent Hill is very loosely based on Centralia. It just sort of gave him the idea. But if you watch Silent Hill, there's there's the church with the ash falling down, and, you can kind of see how Centralia played a part in that movie and in the video games. But it's a much different feeling to go there. If anybody goes there, you have to be very, very careful because there are sinkholes. And, so I always kind of caution people if they want to go and check it out, you just have to be on your toes.
Wow. Steve actually, he on his computer, he was bringing up Centralia.
Pictures.
And there's tons of pictures of the sinkholes, and it's just crazy. I'm not really sure how people could drive through there. Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's great, and that's in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
It is in Pennsylvania.
Wow. Now, you were talking about Lorraine Warren, which I just, adore. She's just the most sweetest, lady, and I always love to listen to her talk. And I was wondering if you ever got an opportunity to walk through her museum that she has over next to her house.
Yeah, unfortunately I haven't. She's invited me many, many times throughout the years, and just whenever I'm in Connecticut, it's always, bad timing or something like that, and I haven't. The last time I was up there was for, visiting an old friend, so it didn't give me much time for play, but
right.
I've been through John Stathis' Haunted Museum, the one he has in his house, and that one's insane. lots of really creepy objects there.
I know. He was talking about what was it? There was some person who had a castle or something they wanted built in their house, and it happened to be haunted, and they tock it down, and he has great stories. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I love listening to him talk too, and he's such a funny guy. Have you had the chance to see the movie Annabelle as of yet? I know it just came out.
I have not. I've been hearing mixed things about it, so I haven't seen it yet.
I would be very interested to see you guys do a show on Annabelle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know. To me, it's all fiction, and I know it's based off a real doll, but of course they played it off of the doll that was in The Conjuring, not the actual Raggedy Ann doll. So,
right.
And I don't know if those stories were actually true that in the movie Annabelle portrayed, but I know there are stories around the actual doll itself. So I'd be interested to know which of those correspond to each other.
So basically, you're wondering if the story that they showed on the movie was an actual story that was based with Annabelle.
Well, some factual stuff to it, but
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That would be definitely a good question for Lorraine.
So the basis for Real Fear, do you just take any type of horror movie, or is it horror movies that have a bit of truth to them?
We look for, horror movies that say that they're based off of real stories. So, a lot of times, like with Annabelle, you'll see based off of real events or based on true events. Things like that, we'll go for movies like that because, as we all know that they're exaggerated to some level. And sometimes the real story is much more interesting than the movie.
Right.
Like we see, personally with The Haunting in Connecticut, I think the real story is much more interesting than what I saw on screen, and very, very different. They're very different stories, but as far as like bodies coming out of the walls and then the house burning down, obviously that didn't happen, which I actually think is a little bit scarier because the house is still there. And, whether or not, there's a lot of controversy around these big hauntings, like Haunting in Connecticut, Amityville, things like that. But let's just say for the sake of argument that everything is real and everything happened. Something that Lorraine always talks about is you have these houses like the two I mentioned, and you have these families that have these, horrific ordeals in them, and then the next family moves in and there's nothing. And then the next family moves in, nothing. And so then people kind of get the idea, well, then the family that had this ordeal happen, they must be liars or they must be batshit crazy.
Right.
And it doesn't always work like that. It works as it's a perfect storm to have these types of hauntings happen. You have to have the right people at the right time at the right place. And the thing that Lorraine always says is that they're a doormat until the perfect storm happens again.
Right.
And, so I, looking at the real life side of, you've seen a Haunting in Connecticut as an example, that house is still there, it's in a burned down. There was, they kind of solved the mystery. They know why they think it's haunted. They know why they think this family went through what they did. But I don't know, does that stuff ever really leave a place? That dark with that much energy? I don't know.
Does it, or does it just stay dormant again until the right storm comes through one more time?
Wow.
So I guess that brings me to my question, and I wasn't a big fan of this movie, but I noticed that one of the movies that you guys covered was Nightmare on Elm Street. And I always thought that was a fictional movie altogether.
I did too.
And I'm actually interested to know what part of that is factual.
Right. So Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven was inspired for the storyline of Nightmare on Elm Street based off of these articles that he was reading about these, I think they were Laotian men, who were perfectly normal and healthy, but they were dying in their sleep. And doctors couldn't figure out a reason for it. So they called it, what is the name of it? It's something like sleeping death syndrome, something like that. I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head. But these men were just dying, and it was only this one race of men, which is a very weird thing also. But it was enough men. It wasn't like three, It was like, we're talking a good amount of men who were dying in their sleep. So Wes Craven got the idea for Nightmare on Elm Street based off of that, and then Freddy Krueger he named after his a bully that he had in school with the last name of Krueger.
Wow.
So we kind of
interesting.
Yes. So we explore, is it possible? We had a neurologist come on. He was from University of Pennsylvania. He came on and kind of explained, can it actually happen? Can you actually die in your sleep based off of a nightmare? And then we explored Pennhurst in Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia, because there's been some people, I'm sure you guys have come across this too, with investigating. You go to a place and you're kind of plagued by nightmares about the place. Mm-hmm. So we explored that connection there. But yeah, it's interesting. I actually didn't know, Nightmare on Elm Street was based on anything factual until we started to look into it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I'm like, I really thought that wasn't real.
I mean, I've definitely heard of the I guess the legend that if you see yourself die in your dream, then you won't wake up.
Right.
And it's always can it actually happen? I guess it'd be. There's only one way to find out, and that's not to tell about it. So.
I'm curious about what you guys uncovered with Poltergeist, because I thought that one wasn't real either.
Poltergeist is really interesting for a couple of reasons. The original case happened only, I think it's like 5 to 10 miles away from Amityville.
Mm-hmm.
And, this happened, Poltergeist, the original case happened in the 50s, so timing's different from Amityville, but I think it's still interesting that two very notorious hauntings happened only within a couple miles of each other. Poltergeist, there's, Spielberg has never come out to say that the idea of Poltergeist, the movie, came from this case, but there's enough evidence in the movie to suggest that maybe the inspiration came from, learning about this case. There's a lot of experiences that the family had that are depicted in the movie. For example, the little boy in the real case, one of the experiences he describes is having his globe that's sitting on his desk come up and fly through the room, and you see that happen in the movie. There's little things like that are kind of a nod to the real case. And the real case, what's cool about it is it's a police case, and it's still open to this day. They've never been able to figure out what caused it. It was 6 weeks of complete hell for this family. And it started so randomly and out of nowhere, and it ended just the same. But they had Lucille Herman, who, was, I believe, preteen during the time of the case. She described one instance where they're all sitting downstairs, and a very heavy, heavy bookcase lifts up, levitates in front of all of them, and falls over.
Wow.
And, we're talking heavy bookcase, like 2 or 3 men need to lift this to get this off the ground. And everyone who was in the room saw this happen. They had psychologists come out to interview all of them. They had doctors. They had scientists. Police officers were there. And to this day, no one's been able to figure out what caused it, natural or unexplainable. So that's kind of the first time that we see, at least in the media, that the word poltergeist is used.
Mhm. Wow. So cool. Very cool. Now, are you guys continuing the series, or I think you guys did it for 2 seasons, right?
We did 2 specials for Chiller.
Okay. Are you going to be doing them again?
I can't. Mom's the word on that for right now. Unfortunately, I can't. I know. But yeah, Mom's the word. But I'll just say, any announcements I can make, I'll make on my Facebook and my Twitter.
You just deflated her balloon. So I believe I read somewhere that you had hauntings as you were growing up. What caused, or what is the starting point for your involvement in the paranormal?
Yeah.
Definitely when I was a kid, we lived in a different house than where my parents live now, and I was very little. We lived there from the time I was born until I was about 5 or 6. But the memories I have personally were just being, incredibly scared to be upstairs by myself. I would never sleep in my own room. I would sleep in my sister's room. I always talked about imaginary friends, that kind of thing. But, you know, when you're growing up, you hear the stories of what other people experience. And one that's that's a memory of mine, but it's also my sister has a better memory of it than I do. Like I said, I was always scared to be upstairs by myself, so I would tend to follow her throughout the house. If she went downstairs, I had to go downstairs. And obviously, you know, she would get really, really annoyed by this. So there was one night where I'm sitting at the foot of the stairs playing a puzzle, and it was a Winnie the Pooh puzzle. And she poked her head through the banister as she's coming down the stairs to make sure I was in my room. And she saw me sitting on my bed. And she said I was looking at her, but I was kind of like strung out almost, you know. And as she came down to the bottom of the stairs, she saw me sitting there. And she just said, you know, how did you do that? And I remember looking at her, and I'm just like, how did I do what? And we went back and forth for a little while. And then she told me that she had seen a little girl that looked exactly like me sitting on my bed, looking back at her. So that was really, I think, like the first time that I remember hearing somebody else's ghost story about the house we grew up in. From there, it went to, you know, other things. My sister used to see a man walking through the hallway every night. My aunt moved into the house after we moved out, and she had a lot of experiences. She used to hear a little girl on the baby monitor say, you know, Mommy, help me. And my aunt checked with all the neighbors, couldn't find an answer there. She went as far as calling the manufacturer. They never had a complaint, never had an issue, nothing like that. Then her son, my cousin, you know, he was a baby, you know, a couple months old, and someone had bought him one of those piggy banks that, you know, plays music when you put the money in.
Yep.
And that would go off. And the thing had no batteries in it. So,
oh, wow.
You know, there was a lot of strange things that happened to her. And then the next family that moved in, they actually approached my mom and had asked her, have you guys had any strange things happen in this house? And my mom kind of played dumb, and she's like, well, you know, what do you mean? And they're like, well, our daughter's toys are playing by themselves, so we want to know what's up, you know? So the woman who lives there now doesn't have any children, and she's older, so she lives alone, but every now and then she'll rent out the house or let her clients stay there, that kind of thing. And one of her clients a couple of years ago approached her and said something along the lines of, you know, you didn't tell me this house was haunted. And she's like, well, you know, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, well, I woke up and there was a man in the hallway, you know. So,
wow.
Yeah, and I just recently connected with one of my old neighbors who, I didn't know this, but we were talking about it, and she's like, well, our house was haunted too. I was like, oh, you know, what were your experiences? And I guess her father had woken up to see a woman in their house, and then she proceeds to tell me that they were all twin houses, so their neighbor had found, I guess, headstones in their backyard, and instead of, like, you know, doing anything like preserving them or going to find out, oh, maybe there's someone buried in my backyard, they took the headstones and used it to prop up the side of their house.
Are you serious?
So, yeah. So, you know, as far as the genesis for why that block is haunted, you know, I'm wondering probably something underneath everyone's house. But, yeah, so that's kind of how that started. I mean, it wasn't a, you know, threatening haunting by any means, but I would say it's intelligent and active when the right people are there.
Now, you said that your parents kept buying haunted houses. Did you live in more than one haunted house?
Yeah, the next house they bought was haunted as well. And I don't think it was a threatening thing by any means. But, you know, we would have the things, you put something down and then it disappear. And then it reappear, you know, right where you left it.
I know that
like
feeling.
hearing your name called. Huh?
I said I know that feeling oh too well.
Yeah, you know, we had a lot of, it's a very old house. It's a house from the 1800s, you know, very old land. But for the most part, I would say once I became a teenager, it stopped. We would have things happen here and there, but it wasn't like when my parents had first moved in.
So
yeah.
I'm guessing that your family is very open to your paranormal
career choice.
Yes.
Yeah. They've always, my mother's side of the family, it seems like everyone's had a haunted house or has some strange experience with ghosts. So it was never something, weird in my family. It was very much accepted and just very much a part of life.
See, for like my mom, she's very religious, and she's not real open to my hobby, I guess you could call it. But it's funny. She's like one of the first people who like will be willing to watch our evidence review, to look it over and ask, oh, what's that? Did you see that? Or you know what I mean? And ask questions. And it's so funny. It's like, oh, but you don't believe in this.
Right.
But oh well, what can you do? Now, when you decided to go to college, and of course you joined the paranormal team there at Penn State, what really like drew you to it? I mean, obviously you had the experiences, but something was said to you like, oh, you need to do this versus joining the drama club or you know what I mean?
Mhm. I think the reason for joining that was because I was already in school for theater and music, and so I was getting my experiences and that way through my classes, and there were no paranormal classes. There was no paranormal degree. There was nothing where you could, pursue it in any kind of real way. So when I found out they had a club, it was like, oh, well, that's kind of perfect. I can go there and we can research, and I didn't really know at that time when I joined. I wasn't too aware of what they did on a daily basis. So I think that was the motivation for it, just having some sort of way to get that experience and to, meet other people that believe in it too, or maybe don't believe in it but want to find out what it is.
But prior to that, did you ever do like any investigating or join any paranormal teams?
Not in a team, but individually, yeah. I've been, like I said, I just always growing up having this experiences, you want to know more about it. At least I did. And so I'd always read up about it, and so like, and as a teenager, I would definitely do the thing like, show yourself, ghost, like that kind of thing. And my friends, 1700 house, but it wasn't until college where I had the chance to work with the team.
I think I read something where you would be invited to overnight, like slumber parties, and you would tell your little ghost stories, and they'd all want to go home.
Yeah. I always had the Ouija board, and most girls left my slumber parties crying because they were scared. So, yeah.
That's actually pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
It's funny because we'll like have people come up to us and tell us their ghost stories, and in my mind I'm thinking cool, I got to remember not to let cool come out of my mouth. It's like, oh yeah, that's to us it's so intriguing, and it's like, wow, that's something to experience that, but for them it's not cool.
Right.
And we go look for it. It's like they run from it, we look for it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're definitely a rare breed.
So when you joined the Paranormal Club, and I'm just curious how it came about to where your club ended up as Paranormal State on TV. How did that come about?
I'm not too clear on the details either. When I first joined the club, they didn't have anything like that. And I had stopped going to the club because I just transferred to Penn State. And, I was a double major and a minor, and I had 2 other clubs on top of it. And I had all this stuff happen my first semester up there. So I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to go back to this club for a little while. I'm going to get situated with my classes and these other things that I'm doing, and then I'll go back to the club once that stuff is settled. So I went back to the club 2 years later, and when I went back, they had been talking about some TV show that they were going to film. They had already filmed the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've heard both things, that Ryan sought out producers, and then I heard things that producers sought them out. Either way, it was a thing of they worked with the production company, filmed the pilot, and then the pilot shopped it around, and A&E picked it up. But the process happened very quickly, and for Heather and I at least, because we were the ones that we were, like, the team was already kind of established. They already knew who was going to be on the television show, and they just wanted two more people as trainees. So Heather and I were already in the club, and then they said, we're having auditions for the show. Heather and I went, and kind of happened from there. But I think, let me see, the audition was probably in October of 2006, and then we were filming our first episode by November. And, Heather and I mean, we became very close very fast. And I remember neither of us had any clue what was going on. It was just like Ryan one day called us up to the front of the club room, and all he said was that our background checks came back okay. And like that, and we're like, okay, well, what does that mean? And he's very stoic, and so he just sort of like walked away into the shadows, and we're like, I wonder what he means by that. And then the next thing you know, we're out to dinner with these producers, and they're throwing 7-8 page contracts in front of our face. So it just happened so quickly. As far as like how it came about with them, honestly, I wasn't part of the group when that happened. But we had shot from November through February 2007, I think it was, we had shot 13 episodes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world did you stay in college
That was my next
and
question.
do all those episodes at the same time? Because that's like core time. I mean, that's like you're really into your schooling. You're going from one semester to another as well.
Mm-hmm.
That had to have been rough.
Yeah. And I had, same with Heather. Heather was a film and media studies student, so she had a lot of, film classes that she couldn't miss. And I was theater and music, and those are all hands-on classes, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was definitely tough. I mean, our weekends, how they did it was basically like every weekend we would go out on film an episode. So the production staff would, produce episodes during the week. We'd go out on the weekend and film them.
Wow.
And go back to class on time. We'd come back, the state college, late Sunday night, leave Friday.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm surprised. I almost did fail one class, but
oh no.
She it was my Shakespeare class, and she was so well, I don't think she was very nice about it. It was like the last class I needed to graduate, and she gave me a really, really hard time about it. So, so that was the only teacher that ever really gave me any trouble with it.
Now, did you guys review your own evidence, or did you have people that reviewed it for you?
No, we reviewed our own evidence. So that was all us. Occasionally we'd have other people from the club come in and help us with it, but I think they were always featured on the show. So if you ever see like a random person pop up on the show, it's probably because they're there to help us out, to be like an extra hand. For the most part, Josh was on duty for that. And if you notice, he's not in the opening credits. He was originally a member of the team, and he was kind of their tech guy, but for whatever reason, he wasn't listed as a cast member, and I think he wasn't supposed to be there the whole time. It was something with budget reasons. They only wanted 5 people there, that kind of thing. But, as the show progresses, he's there for pretty much every episode. Even if he's not shown on camera, he's usually there.
Nice.
Oh, gotcha. Wow. Now, I believe you and Heather are still quite close, right? You're still,
Yep,
still hanging
friends.
out. Because I see, I think you guys fairly recently did an event at Houghton Mansion together, which Steve and I were talking about going. We've already been there, and we love Houghton Mansion. We actually won an award for one of our videos that we got from there.
Was that the one that we were going to leave the day before the event started? It was like, let's pack up our stuff and go.
Right. But you guys ended up, I believe, selling out because we just wanted to come. I should say, I really wanted to come meet you guys, you girls. I was all excited.
I would have loved to meet you.
Yeah. Steve's like, but we've already been there. It's like, but.
Yeah, it's Katrina.
But it's Katrina and Heather. I want to go meet them.
Heather. I think it was Chris and I who did that one. Heather.
Oh, was it? Oh my God.
Chris and I, yeah. Heather, though, yeah. I mean, we're still tight. We still, we talk all the time, though. Yeah.
Okay, insert foot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are you starstruck?
No, that would have been great if you guys had come.
Well, I really wanted to come, but yeah, you guys were sold out, I believe.
We sold out pretty quick on that one.
Definitely. But yeah, we love Houghton Mansion. That's an awesome place. Definitely a cool place to go.
Out of all the places that you've had the opportunity to do through TV and through your new series and just being in the paranormal in general, what's your favorite place to go, and where would you want to go back to?
I would love to go back to the Daisy Town case, the one with the glove that we got on thermal imaging. That place is haunted with a capital H. And it still is to this day. They still have things happen, and they have really crazy things happen, like, furniture levitating with people sitting on it.
Wow. They
were seeing an apparition of a monkey for a while. So I would love to set up camp in that house one day and just, stay there for a couple weeks if they would let me and, really experience what they experience on a daily basis. Because when you're there for only a couple of days, I mean, if you get to experience something, that's very lucky, because a lot of times that doesn't happen. But you also, I don't think you get the full scope of the haunting. So I would love to be there for a couple weeks. Bigger locations, non-client based, that I've been to, that I would love to go back to. I would love to go back to Western Virginia State Penitentiary. West Virginia State Penitentiary. I would love to go back there. It's a really cool building. Lots of experiences there. And I would love to have that place just for, a night all to ourselves, no film crew, just to see what happens.
Wow. We haven't been to there yet.
No. We have had the opportunity to go to Pennhurst, so.
Yeah.
What you were talking about.
Pennhurst is really cool.
It's
did you guys say you went there or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I actually thought was interesting about Pennhurst was the look to it. It was almost like you were going into a horror film.
Yeah.
When we drove down there, it was late at night. And all the headlights going down to the place. But as you pull up to the front of this place, it was just like, really?
It's like, wow.
Yeah. We got to investigate the Devons building and the Mayflower building, I believe it was. And I mean, I want to get into every one of those buildings that are there, but had a pretty neat experience with it sounded like a little girl's disembodied voice that came from my right hand side, and Rosalind Brown from Ghost Hunters Academy had just left that area, and she had heard it about 25 feet down the hall, and me and her ran down the stairs and tried to find out where it was coming from, but ended up getting stuff like it almost sounded like somebody was throwing stuff at the walls, and we just lost track of it from there, but it was neat. Definitely an interesting place.
We go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, when the last time I was there, I was with Deb and Mark Constantino, and when we were walking around to the other buildings, Timothy, who runs everything, said he was going to take us into one of the buildings that he doesn't let a lot of people go into. I think the Quaker building, if that's right.
Right.
And the door was locked from the inside, And he kept trying to open, and he's like, oh, And I was like, well, what does that mean? And he's like, that means there's somebody in there. I'm like, what do you mean? Like a ghost or a person? And he's like, a person. And I just remember I was very, very freaked out by the fact that a real person is just hiding around, in these buildings. And he says that happens sometimes. So there's something to be aware of for anybody who's listening that wants to go. You got to be careful when you go into these big old buildings. Sometimes people hide out in them and they're not always stable.
I'm surprised because, they have pretty strong security there.
Well, that's why they have the security.
Yeah,
they do.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, quite strong.
You could just walk around the building they let you in and see all the graffiti and, the facing of the building. But it's, that's a main concern right there, people staying in those buildings and also animals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very true. So out of all of your experiences that you've had, can you tell us one that sticks out for you that actually scared you and made you want to not return?
I don't think I've had an experience that has made me not want to go back. I'm too stubborn. That's not always a good thing, but I'm definitely too stubborn to let it win, But there's definitely been times where I've been pretty freaked out where I've had to leave the room. There was an episode with Heather and I for Paranormal State, Suicide Spirits, where it's a demonic case. And we were there alone at night, no film crew, it was just us. And we were in the kitchen, and we had noticed that one of the production assistants left a coffee pot on, and it was burning. So we go to turn it off, and as we're going to do that, the basement door bangs like somebody from the basement had kicked it, full force with their foot.
Wow.
And Heather and I we held on to each other and just ran. So we were very, very scared because it was so forceful. It's like somebody, it was like a 200-pound man slammed his whole body up against it. We saw it, come out. It was locked. But you know how older homes, those doors will kind of, if you press up against it or kick it, you can see it kind of come out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our thought was these people lived on a corner property in a very crowded neighborhood, big old windows, and we come rolling in with a film crew of 15 and all these lights and all this equipment. So we had people all day stopping by saying oh, hey, what's going on? So our first thought was somebody had broken into the house and they see us in here and they're going to attack us. And funny enough, when we kind of realized it was paranormal, we're like, oh, okay, we can handle that. So real people we can't handle. And also on that case, I had a metal boat propeller fly off a wall towards my head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was pretty creepy. Ryan had just finished. He was upstairs by himself, and I don't even think he was with the camera crew because we didn't know he was doing it. But he had just finished religious provocation. Mm-hmm. And I had gone upstairs to use the ladies' room, and I just had this really weird feeling that something was there, something was watching me. So I kind of stood there for a while, and nothing happened. So I opened the door to the bathroom, and as I go to close it, and again, it's an old house, so this isn't a door that you can just close. You have to kind of close it, then ease it in. It's kind of swollen.
Yeah.
And as I was doing that, I hear this crash against the door. And I open the door, and there's this metal boat propeller sitting there. Oh. And we have it on our surveillance cameras. And what's interesting is that, the boat propeller didn't just kind of it didn't come straight down as if a nail had given out or anything like that. And it didn't kind of go off to the left. It went full force towards me.
Wow.
So that was definitely an eerie feeling, or experience, I should say.
That's, wow. Imagine if it hit you. That would have sucked. One of the people in our chat room wants to know if you still write your own music.
Yeah, I've gotten away from it a little bit. It is something I need to get back into. but here and there I do, but not as much as I should.
Now, I read that you are a karaoke fanatic.
So are we.
Oh, I am.
Yes, you are. And that you've been a co-host of many variety radio shows and do voiceover work. Some little things that people,
Yeah, in college I did a lot of. I was in the radio scene for college, so they would always have me do a kind of a dark voice, you know what I mean, like a deeper voice. So they would always have me do voiceover spots for them. So I did that through college.
Now, a lot of people, people talk in the paranormal field or about paranormal, about, I like this show because of this. I don't like this show because of this. This can't be true because of this, or, you know what I mean? And I think probably the most frequent thing I've heard about Paranormal State is it can't be true. There's not that many demonic or whatever cases around, and they always seem to get those.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought I would give you an opportunity as a person who was part of that maybe could respond to that, because, you're there, you know what happened, and
no one else does.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And and that's a great point to bring up too. You always see people say things like, "Oh, that's fake. Oh, that's fake. Oh, that's fake." And I love commenting on those things, because then they'll kind of argue with me a little bit, and I'm like, well, out of the two of us, I was there. So,
exactly.
So it's funny that way. But yeah, as far as the demonic stuff, PRS, their mission was always to take the most, to take the clients that were in most need of help. And generally that tends to be these darker cases. Now, you also have to understand that not every case that, if somebody emails us or calls us and says, I have a demon in my house, it's not always going to be demonic.
Right.
So a lot of times we go to these cases and they would use those words, but we wouldn't find evidence of it being demonic. So, and that was explored on the episodes. There were a lot of cases where we're like, we don't really think this is what you think it is. So I would say to people that say that kind of stuff, keep that in mind, that people's vocabulary is very different. It also depends on what religion you practice. A lot of religions only believe in demons and angels, nothing in between.
Mm-hmm.
So it might just be, a negative human haunting that's not demonic, but they would use the words demonic. And, of course, we do screenings before we went into a house. I would do all the interviews with people, and that's a really good way. For the most part, we could weed out what we thought was happening versus what they thought was happening. But still, it's important to show, when we would do our briefings, we would talk about what the client was claiming to happen. We wouldn't really discuss our thoughts too much at that time, because you don't want to go in. I mean, how many times have we all done this? We go into a house thinking it's one thing, or thinking that someone, doesn't have all their screws tight, and we're blown away by the fact that, it really is a dark case, and they really are telling the truth, and we weren't prepared for it. So yeah, I would say that. And I think also, we had a platform where people who needed help sought us out. So, if you're an investigation team, I live outside Philadelphia, so let's say, your investigation team in Pennsylvania, and you have a website, all that stuff, you might get maybe one or two people coming to you saying they have a demonic haunting. But we were on national television, and even we were shown in other countries. So people who have these types of hauntings, they want to go and seek out people that, even though they didn't know us, but from seeing our work on television, they trusted us.
Right.
And, although the demonic hauntings, I would say true demonic hauntings are somewhat rare, they're not that rare. So that would be my answer to people who say it's fake, because we always have demonic hauntings.
That is a great answer.
Yeah. Definitely a great answer.
I would say that some of the teams that are out there, be careful of the terminology that you throw around, because, people that hear the word demonic, automatically it's tied to fear, and that fear
feeds
more negativity. So, just those words, and this is, like I said, just for some teams out there that might
go into
around
people's environment,
not understand really what they're getting involved in. Those terminologies actually affect the people that you're trying to help. So that's all I need to say about that.
Now, Katrina, there's like one of the shows that really stands out, and I don't know the name of it, but I'm not sure if you recall it, and I actually don't even remember if you were on that episode, but there was the young girl, I want to say they lived in a trailer or a double wide, and it was a young girl that she seemed to be appeared to be possessed, and she would get scratched. And I want to say you guys even went back there again, and I think that was one of your more extreme cases. I was just curious if you guys kept contact with these folks, checked in on them, if you knew if she was doing better, if you know what case I'm talking about.
I do, yeah, the Syracuse, New York one, I think is what you're talking about. Was it where the crosses kept showing, coming upside down?
Upside down. I love that episode.
Yeah, that's the Syracuse one. I think we called it the Devil in Syracuse. Yeah, that one I actually was there, but I wasn't allowed in the house because I was still a trainee at that time. So Ryan didn't want to, put me in that situation. So I was doing work, like literally right across the street. But yeah, I do remember that case. And as far as I know, they are fine. I mean, that was a 2007 case, 2006. So what we do after we would finish a case, we would always follow up. And I think those were people that we had with demonic hauntings, it's not just about the house, it's about the people.
Right.
And sometimes the people have to do what we would call homework in order for whatever we would do to help them to, take effect.
Right.
So I know they had homework to do for us to come back there and be able to help them. So Tina, what's her name? I know Ryan gave her a list of things that she would have to do, and she did do them, and they completely turned their lives around, as far as every other aspect went. And they were doing really, really well. And I believe the haunting subside. We're went into remission, whatever word you want to use there. I don't think they had too many bad things happen after they started to do some work on other things. I wasn't too involved with the follow-up of that family, but I do know, like, how we would normally do it is, after a case, if it wasn't closed, quote-unquote, if they still needed help, we would continue to work with them as much as we could. And then, we would do follow-ups if everything was okay, maybe once or twice a year, just sort of put in a call, see how they're doing, or send an email and just say, hey, is everything okay, blah, blah, blah. Most people, once it's done and over with, they want nothing to do with you. And I think it's just because, this isn't exactly a pleasant memory for a lot of people. And it's also, even though it's less taboo than it has been in, the last couple of decades, it's still taboo for a lot of areas.
Right.
So for the most part, a lot of people want to put it behind them. And that includes putting us behind them, which is totally understandable. Yeah, so there's very few clients that I still talk to this day.
Now, what do you think of the paranormal field and the community in general today from when you first started? Do you think it's gone in a positive or a negative field?
I think right now we're in a weeding out area, if that makes sense. We are, once all these shows got really popular, all you saw was show after show after show after show. And the great thing about that was it inspired people to start their own groups. And I think it made it a lot easier for people to get access to certain places. Business owners say, you know what, I'm cool with letting people know that my place is haunted, that's fine. And I can have a team come in and investigate, that's cool. And, people that might not have been able to do this before because of what their families thought or their friends thought or their jobs thought, they're now able to be part of the field. And so that's the good side. the negative side was, you know, we saw a lot of people being like, oh man, I just want to see a demon. That'd be so cool. Why don't we conjure one up? Like, you know what I mean?
No.
And like, you know, there's right. We saw a lot of that stuff, and I think we also saw a lot of people getting into it because it was cool, but then they weren't really that into it enough to be dedicated. So I think what we're seeing now is, you know, with a lot of these shows that have died off, the hype of them has died off tremendously. I think we're seeing a lot of the people who are still in the field. There are people who really want to be there and, you know, who are dedicated to research this and not just do it for thrills and, you know, Halloween events, but they really want to get into, you know, what's causing all of this. Is it psychological? Is it scientific? Is it something otherworldly? I mean, we really don't know these answers.
Right.
So I think right now, actually, the field can go in a very positive direction because, you know, we're weeding out the people who want to be there versus the people who are just kind of there for funsies.
Right. I mean, I've definitely had the experience where I've contacted a place, you know, and said, hey, you know, Halloween's coming up, and, you know, I mean, as you know, Halloween and the month of October is huge for a lot of paranormal teams just because of the nature of everybody's mindset. But the owners, oh, you just want to come in because it's Halloween. No, actually, I do this year round.
Right.
I want to do this because I love what I do. I love, you know, anytime I have something happen, I just want to know what made it happen, and I want to know more about it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I think I know the answer, it changes on me. So, you know, my personal thing is I'm always learning. I'm always trying to strive for that next answer, that next step, the next piece of evidence. But it's all my own personal thing, you know. And if I can help somebody on my way, then great. You know, that's sort of how I've viewed it. But yeah, I've definitely noticed that, you know, people October, it's like, oh, you just want to come in now. If you don't want to do it in October, we can do this in November, December, January, no matter.
March.
Right.
So I have a couple questions I asked some of our guests, and I would like to ask you. First, who is your paranormal superstar? Your one person that you look up to in the paranormal field?
Ooh, that's a great question. I've never been asked that before. Man, you know, there's a couple. I would definitely say Lorraine, because she's completely dedicated to her clients. I've seen that. I've met many of her clients from years ago who, you know, definitely talk about how much Ed and Lorraine were there for them when nobody else was. So whether or not you believe in her work or not, you know, I think that's definitely something to look up to her for. They gave these people hope when nobody else would.
Yeah.
So definitely Lorraine. You know, I think John Zaffis' work is incredible, the things he's experienced in his life and the clients he's worked with. Yeah, I would say this would probably be my top two that I can think of off the top of my head. Chip does amazing work, too, and so does Michelle. I've seen them help people, you know, so from a psychic standpoint, I would say those are probably my two most respected psychics that I really had a chance to work with.
We've had the pleasure of meeting Chip as well, and it amazes me of how much you see him on, you know, the shows that he was on and stuff, and in person, he's the exact same person.
Really, you know, really great guy.
And just adore. You can't help but to love him. He's just, you know what I mean? Of course, you know what I mean.
We had four of our teammates were right up front for his I don't even know what to call
talk.
it. Yeah, coffee talk. And I mean, he was pointing us out. I think we were the only paranormal team that was there. Yeah. So he was during like the little investigation that we did. He sort of called on us a lot, and you know, we talked to him a little bit during the breaks and stuff like that. I thought it was great. I really did. I loved hanging out with him for the time we did. So
very, very nice man. And you know, you mentioned Michelle, which is Michelle Belanger, I believe is who you're talking about, right?
Yep.
You don't really hear
Michelle's
a whole
great.
lot about her, and do you know like what she's up to and how she's doing and?
No, I haven't actually spoken with Michelle in a few years. Not for anything, bad, but sometimes you just lose track of people.
Yeah.
As we're all going through life, But no, as far as I know, she's doing really well. And she doesn't, I don't think Michelle, at least when I worked with her, she wasn't really doing psychic readings privately, like, Chip does. So I think that was more on the download for her. I didn't even really know she was a psychic, I think, until she came on the episodes and we started having her do readings. That's not really something she advertises a lot, but she is ridiculously good at it. I've had my jaw drop on a few cases we've had her on. So very, very talented lady.
And what about, let's see, Sergi, and I'm going to say her name wrong. Is it Elfie? Or
Elfie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Elfie, yeah. Again, the only one I really keep in close contact with at least is Heather. Heather and I talk probably every week somehow, if it's through text or, email or phone calls. And then Josh I was just talking to the other day, actually. So.
Okay. Nice. Mm-hmm. Now, if you could go back and choose whether you would do Paranormal State or Real Fear, looking back now, would you still do it? And what do you think?
Yeah.
what do you think is the good thing that came? What do you think is a good thing that came from it? And on top of your answer, sorry, too many questions.
I would have, but I would have changed. At least with Paranormal State, I would have changed the business side of things. We were kids when this came about. No clue how this industry worked, really no clue how business worked. We were still in college, learning all that stuff. So there was a lot of naive moments, I think, on our part. And so if I could go back, that would be the thing I would change. Everything else with Paranormal State, I want to change it. And with Real Fear, no, I think, it's cool. Real Fear was a fun thing. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. It was cool to see where those movies got their start.
Yeah.
And Paranormal State, that was we worked with so many people that I know we were able to help. And there's people that we weren't able to help, unfortunately. But that's kind of how this field goes. You're not going to be able to help everyone. But I think something on a bigger level that was good was kind of what I was saying before, is that these shows have definitely opened a door for people to explore this more. And, I hope that continues. I hope people, can look back at whether it's Paranormal State or Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures, whatever it may be, and, say, oh, you know what? I'm not so weird for having this experience. And I'm not so weird for thinking that this exists. And
right.
You know what? Maybe that person is going to be the one who helps move the field forward. So those are the good things I saw come out of it. And, as an investigator, you definitely get personal rewards from it. It feels good helping somebody if you can, so it's always nice to walk away knowing you were able to do that.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that's one of our biggest goals with our team is helping people, whether it's, helping them in, understanding what's going on in their home, or us helping people by, like us doing our fundraising or, helping.
Giving back a little
bit. Exactly. That's good. That's good stuff to do, and it's good for the soul. It's good for helping people and all that good stuff.
People ask me all the time, well, why don't you get paid for what we do? And our team, we don't ask for anything.
Right.
And it's like I said, it's all of our time. We put our own money into our own equipment and our own time and gas to get to these places. I said my payment is to sit down and to show somebody a piece of evidence, a voice on a recording that means absolutely nothing to me, and to watch their face completely change because that's their uncle's voice or something their mother used to say, or,
Understand
and I have no idea the impact, and all of a sudden it's like, bang, there it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
to walk out of a house and have somebody feel at ease because, okay, that's my mother that's coming to visit, or you know what I'm saying? It's like,
right.
you know, that's payment, and I mean that's
right. And
why
I
I'm
think
in
the
it.
thing is too, like when people are rambling on about, I can't tell you how many emails I've had over the years of, you know, your show is fake because of this, because of that, you know, things that we've explained a million times before. But
Right.
you know, the funny thing is, it's even if, you know, where you're talking about being able to show them that piece of evidence, and even if you can't do that for them, it's the fact that sometimes you're their only outlet to talk to about this stuff. You're their only,
and they're not alone.
you know, source for stress relief. You're their only source of hope at that point. And you know, I think when you know the field is really blowing up with a lot of different teams, and I met a lot of teams that I don't personally think were in it for the right reasons. You know, that's kind of what I had feared would be lost. You know, when people work with clients, that they're kind of just going in and leaving and, okay, see ya. Like, you know, and maybe not doing the best job that they could because they're not really prepared for it. But the teams that I've met within these last 2 years, I would say, they're really, really dedicated. And it is about the client, and it is about, you know, being there for them and helping guide them through this really weird time that they're having.
Yeah, the one thing that I've noticed is, and it's just, I've only been in the field as a group for 4 years now.
Yeah,
and
this month?
Yeah, this month. And but I've had my own experiences since 11. But I've noticed that these groups that come in for, in my opinion, for the wrong reasons, don't usually stick around for an awful long time.
Yeah.
You know, they're like the flash in the pan type of thing. When they realize that, oh, I really can't, you know, make $1 million off of this, or I don't know. I mean, for whatever reason they're in it. You know, if they're not in it for the right reasons, or they don't seem to stick around. So
I think I love it when, like, you know, people are like, oh, let me be in your group. Can I be in your group? Oh, you want to be in the group? Okay, this is what we do.
Yeah.
We spend this much time investigating, and it's really boring. There's no music to it.
Yeah, no commercial breaks.
No commercial breaks. You do your own evidence review, which means this many hours on this many hours on this many hours on this, and then you got to edit it out, you know, as in take it out of, you know, the whole recording, and you have to do this and this and this, and it's like, oh, do you still want to be in the group? And it's like,
right.
You know, if you need someone to fill in, I'm more than happy.
Public event I can go to.
Yeah.
Not to downplay anybody that's going to our public events.
No.
We definitely appreciate it.
My point is that it is something you have to be so dedicated to, and you have to have the patience and the time to really, really be in this field. And that definitely goes along with what Steve says is, you know, people who aren't really in it for the right reasons, you know, they kind of disappear. You know, and
they're not
realize
willing to put in that hard work.
It's not what it's all cracked up to be to them, and that's fine. That's totally fine. You know.
I'm not saying it to downplay anybody. I'm just, I guess, it sort of was leading up to a question that I had is, you know, what would you? That's okay. What would you give for advice to somebody that really wanted to come into this field, and you know, what would you tell them? You know, to either help them along.
To start them.
Definitely find people that you trust. I think that's the biggest thing, you know, because you're relying on their eyewitness accounts and their feelings and things of that nature. And you might have a client that's not stable, so you need to be able to trust that they're going to handle that the right way. Call in, you know, psychologists when they're needed, call in doctors when they're needed, that kind of thing. So I think that's the key, is having a team where everyone trusts each other. You know, other than that, I would say, you know, make sure you're doing your research. Not everyone in your team has to agree on everything. You know, and there's many different methods of how to investigate. So, you know, I think it's good when teams try out different things to see what works for them. and definitely just keep up with your research. There's things in this world everywhere that come up that are unknown and we don't know how to explain yet. And it's not just ghosts, So
right.
figure out, what your team wants to specialize in and go forward.
Yeah,
Great
definitely.
advice.
Now, I'm curious, does the Paranormal Club still exist at Paranormal State?
I don't know. I know once we started the show, it definitely dwindled because we were never there. Every weekend we were out filming. So I know they would try to have club meetings, but Ryan he was the founder of the club, and he was the guy who would run the club meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So we still had the club. And when we weren't filming, we definitely had meetings and everything. I think it was either 2008 or 2009, it went from a club to an LLC. And then I think once that happened and all of us were graduated at that time, it was kind of up to the students who were still there to keep it going. And I think from what I remember is that they had tried, but it just wasn't happening. So I don't believe there's still a club there as of now.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, kind of sad, right?
I think they should try and do another one. All right, so I have my other question that I sometimes ask some of our guests. If you could have a paranormal party and invite anybody that has passed on, whether they're famous or not, or family, who would that be? So
people who have crossed over?
Yep.
Like, okay, just one person?
No. If you could have a paranormal,
a
big party, like say, or you're like 10 people that passed on,
and it doesn't have to be 10. I mean, we've heard the gamut of everybody. So,
and it could be anybody from people who are famous to people who are near and dear to you.
Definitely my grandmother and my brother. I'd invite them. And famous people, I'd have to invite Marilyn Monroe. I think she was a woman ahead of her time. So definitely have to invite her down, pick her brain, find out what really happened to her.
Right, yeah.
And who else? George Washington. I'd invite George Washington and Lincoln. Get Abe in there. And, probably Albert Einstein. Have him come. I think those would be the ones that come up on the top. Those are the ones who come up. Oh, and my 4th grade teacher. I would bring her in too, Mrs. Nice. Yeah, she was a cool lady, and she really believes in me. So I'd invite her to come and hang out so I could say thank you.
Isn't that amazing that, like, the elementary teachers, that there's always one that impacted your life?
Yeah.
It's like mine's my 2nd grade teacher, Miss Gebbia, and I'm still in touch with her on Facebook to this day. So
yeah.
And it's like, that's awesome.
So what is going on for you now? Is there like events going on or things you're working on at the moment?
Next for Katrina?
Yeah, there's a few events that have been approached about for October. None of them have been set in stone yet, but if and when they are, I'll post them for anybody that wants to come. I'll post them on Twitter and Facebook. Other projects I've been, since Real Fear I worked on Ghost Adventures and did some other production work on movies and things like that. And then this last year just got back into on-screen work, so acting and things. So right now, I just finished a project as of last Thursday, just wrapped.
So can you tell us the names of them?
Oh, yeah. We just got finished working on a film called Cafe Artist. So it's about a girl who, she's kind of eccentric, and she comes into a guy's life he's very stuck up, very fuddy-duddy, and she kind of, changes his life. I just wrapped. My character just wrapped on Thursday. They're still filming.
Do you know when that's coming out?
No, it's an independent film, so I don't think it would be like anywhere in theaters. I'm not sure what their plans are. Probably festivals, something like that. But it was shot locally in Philadelphia, which is cool.
Nice. Very, very cool. And I was going to ask you about your music, but I think you said earlier you kind of put that on the back burner for a little bit and planning on to get back into it.
Yeah. I do need to get back with it. It's been on I have my to-do list that never gets done, and it's on there, though.
Well, Katrina, when we ever finally meet up with you at either an event or something, the three of us need to go out to a karaoke bar.
I will be there. I love karaoke so much, and I am the person that I have my list of songs, and I practice them.
What's a few of those songs?
Yeah, we want to know.
A few of those songs are, I'd sing a Cheap Trick, I Want You to Want Me.
Me too.
What else? Yeah, I love that one. No Rain by Blind Melon. Madness by Muse. I do a couple Alanis Morissette ones, a couple U2 songs. Yeah, so.
I actually met I actually met Cheap Trick.
Oh, get out.
Yep, it's funny because I met Heart and Cheap Trick all together when I was awesome. 18, I think. It's kind of funny because my best friend and I, we loved Heart, and we couldn't wait to go see her. I had bought tickets for her birthday, and we were so excited because, back in that day we would all run down and get on the floor and jam ourselves up where your feet can't even touch the ground to get so close to the stage back then. And so we go to run up after getting through the gates, and there's chairs all over the floor, and we're like, what? We're ready to get all, crammed up and stuff. Well, anyway, so we pick our chairs, and there's this security guy going by, and I stop him, and I'm like, oh, so, how could we maybe possibly get backstage? It doesn't have, right? And the guy, see that guy over down there? And that was by the stage. He's like, go there, and basically said to flash him, and he might let you back there. And we're like, I said something kind of mean back to him, and because we don't do that. But anyway, right. So Cheap Trick goes on. They're done with their set, and Heart's setting up. The guy starts walking up, and I say to my best friend, I said, wouldn't it be funny if he's like, here's your backstage passes, because we noticed him walking up. And she's like, yeah, right. He walks up, leans down to my ear, and says, follow me. And I'm like, okay, total stranger just told me to flash these guys. Do we go with him? Let's go. So we go, and literally we get backstage passes to go backstage and meet these people. Kid you not.
Wow. That's also really cool.
That? And my best friend's like, this is the best birthday gift ever.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. It was
on our show,
cool.
You never know where this show's going.
Sorry.
It went from paranormal to backstage pass.
Well, I look forward to someday hearing you sing.
Definitely.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. And
if
you ever want to promote one of you, it sounds like you're getting into acting and all that, or if you ever want to promote, if you do an album or whatever, you are more than welcome to come back on our show and share that with all our listeners.
Definitely.
So, thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. You're very welcome. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. So glad you were able to join us.
This has been fun.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. And
thanks,
definitely
guys.
Look forward to meeting you someday. That would be awesome.
Yes, that would be great.
Oh, before we go, is there anything
you want to
share with guests, like how maybe they can follow you on Twitter or Facebook or any of that?
How they get a hold of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, just honestly, the best ways are my Twitter and my Facebook, and both of them are just Katrina Weidman. So Twitter, it's at Katrina Weidman, and Facebook, it's just search for Katrina Weidman Official, and that's my fan page, and I run that. So,
awesome.
So that is me updating that. So yeah, anybody, those are the best places to get me, and that's where I update events or anything that I'm doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
And happy Halloween.
Oh, yes. Happy Halloween, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night, Katrina.
Bye.
That was fun.
That was really good. You know what always blows my mind is talking to all these great guests like that and how close our mindsets are from what our group does to how they believe,
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
I don't know. It just sort of strengthens my belief that what we're doing is right and going in the right direction. So.
She had some really great advice about people coming in the paranormal field about, trusting them and, being on the same mindset frame, and definitely appreciate it. But I'm so thrilled.
It's all about being a family. So.
Definitely.
And sometimes, families sort of break apart. It's time for members to get sort of recombobulated, and that happens all over the paranormal field, and that's okay.
Yeah,
but
definitely. That's something I appreciate about our team is we are 10 people, totally different. Yep, and different mind frames, different ways of investigating,
different experiences, different.
Yep, ways of life. Different religions. Some people who believe, some who don't. Skeptics, people that are fully in, some people that, try different equipment one way, some, another.
Some people are equipment.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
So.
Absolutely. Your body is, the best equipment to have because your senses, which is amazing.
But to trust the people that are in your team is definitely key.
Absolutely.
And, and the other sense of that is, I don't want to say not to trust them, but to question them, because the fact that just because I find a piece of evidence and I bring it to the group, I firmly believe that the group should tear my evidence apart.
Yeah.
and try to disprove it, because that's what I want. I want to know that what I have is concrete. So
when in doubt, throw it out.
Yeah.
Definitely. We have great people on our team that, I'm glad that, like she said, you have to trust them. And we have wonderful people that we're able to trust and willing to do things that some other people might not be willing to do. And, great example is one of our teammates, Nick. He normally is our guy behind the camera, one of our tech guys. And definitely one of the people to go to that, whenever something's going funky electronically or whatever,
figure it out.
He's, before we consider it paranormal, because that happens, he's like figuring things out and stuff, along with our quiet Steve, who runs our chat room.
Which just said concrete, cement, whatever.
But anyways, when we went to Rolling Hills Asylum, Nick surprised us by being very willing to be our little guinea pig.
Little? Guys,
well, yeah, he's a really tall guy.
6'4" or something.
He's a really tall guy. But getting on the morgue table, and what was the groping chair.
Yeah. But on that table, he actually had an experience which I don't think he would have had, and both of us actually experienced it with him.
Yeah.
The cigar smoke that was put into his face.
Yeah.
And there was nobody smoking cigars.
No.
And it was just, you could actually smell it.
It was literally on him.
Yeah,
not
right
on him, but right in his head area. And I think
that was amazing.
I think, did Steve and Dan smell it too?
Maybe. I mean, we're all in the same room.
One of them also. No smoking at all. That's what Steve said.
There was no smoking at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we were on the investigation, and I mean, that cigar smoke came out of nowhere. So.
Yeah. Very, very cool. But
we need to make a piece of equipment like smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision.
Yeah. So you can capture it, because, you got sounds, you got vibrations, you got, electrical pulses.
Right.
We need to be able to capture smells, because scent is huge in this field as well.
Well, I have my equipment right on my face.
Yeah, but that's not calibrated.
No, it's not calibrated.
Sorry, it's been a long weekend.
Steve said he smelled it.
it must be true.
Yep, definitely.
Because he doesn't speak too much.
No, types real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He speaks to us.
But anyways.
He knows we love him.
Not recordable either. That's true. That's true. That would be our biggest issue.
All right, Steve, we need you and Nick to come up with that.
Smell of it.
You heard it here first on Into the Unknown
Scratch
Realm.
and sniff.
That's our device.
Okay. We're making fun of our own little... But anyways.
Awesome guest we had tonight.
Yeah, we definitely had an awesome guest. I am so thrilled she was on our show because I've literally been trying to have her on the show, I think, since we started our show.
You have been excited ever since she contacted you back, a year ago?
Yeah. No, it wasn't a year ago. It was, I want to say it was in the spring.
Yeah, all right,
yeah. So a big thank you to Katrina for being on our show. Just thrilled to death that she was able to join us today. But, of course, we always have fantastic guests on our show, and makes me appreciate them more after we have them on our show, because we learn so much about them and how very much just like they are, just like you and I and
our team.
Yeah. And but some people, just like John Zaffis, in the amount of time that we spent this August with him, I learned a lot from him, just sitting and listening to him talk and stuff. Very, very, very smart man, taught very well by his aunt and uncle, Lorraine and Ed Warren, and just so knowledgeable in, I appreciate these great folks that we have in our
great resources.
Paranormal. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Anyways, enough about that. We have coming up next week something not paranormal.
It's different.
I am so excited about this too.
I don't know where to go with this, but it is definitely, I am very honored.
We are going back to my teenage years.
Your teenage years.
Yeah, sorry, your teenage
Unless
years.
You were 13, I would have been 12, so that would have been my 13-year, my teenage years.
No, it's more like 17.
We're going back to the hairband days.
Yes, exactly. We are having the group Vixen on our show, which is truly one of the I probably still have the record somewhere in my totes box or whatever.
Are we going backstage?
No.
I want backstage tickets.
I think they're in Canada right now, actually. But anyways, they're coming on our show. They are awesome. I'm excited. They're touring right now. And I just thought it would be really cool to have something different, something non-paranormal on. And you never know. They may have experienced something paranormal. Yeah, we will
talk a little paranormal with them.
And actually, maybe they experienced something with their original founder of the band. I believe her name's Jen. She actually passed away in October. I believe it was from cancer. Yeah. So anyways, so I'm thrilled. I'm excited. And if you think you kind of remember the name or whatever, it doesn't.
It's an all-female band.
Yeah, just Google Vixen and
you'll know who they are.
It's funny, I was talking to my boss about it, and he knew exactly what I was talking about. So, like, all that day, he was, like, singing their songs.
We should get them to sing on our show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't know who all is coming on. I think there's at least 2 of them coming on. So, I'm excited.
I'll sing back up for him.
You'll sing back up for him? You are not a girl. All girl band. Anyways, coming up this Thursday, I know we talked about it before. We brought a guest on. Come join us for our Haunted Evening with STURS, which is our team, Seeking the Unknown Realm Society, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, the Seacoast Repertory Theatre.
Bow Street.
Very cool. This place is deemed haunted.
Not by us. Well, it is by us, but it's been deemed haunted before us.
Because the owners wanted to make sure that anybody who came in, Steve, is there something you want to tell us? Anyways, this place
I'm going to go quiet, Steve.
This place, along with our team, was featured on My Ghost Stories. The name of that episode is Spirits in the Spotlight. It was done in April of 2013. No, 2014.
It was shown April 2013.
Yep.
April 20th.
So if you want to look it up, it's also on our website too. There's a link that you can go to where it's posted.
Or you can come and buy a ticket to the Seacoast Rep, and you can see the episode actually in the theater that it happened.
Yeah. How then do you get to do that?
I'm hoping we not conjure, but we raise the vibrational level.
The energy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see if Precocious will come to me again.
Yeah, you're psyched, huh?
I am very psyched.
Very
4 times I've been inside there, and I've heard.
You investigated inside there.
Well, no, I've been inside 4 times. Well, right, I guess
you investigated 4 times.
And all 4 times I've had something happen. Unfortunately, it was after the people had left the public event we were closing down, but I heard footsteps, or I should say I heard a push broom, and then when I asked who was down there, the push broom stopped and footsteps chased us up the stairs, pretty much.
Which you could see because the spotlights for the stairs were blacked out.
It blocked out the running lights.
Which also Nate as well had the same experience, different time.
And he actually was there as well for that experience. So, hey, maybe you'll experience this as well.
And lots of other things that happen.
Yeah.
So we are having a very cool night. It's filled with paranormal fun, including the investigation. We cannot wait. We are so excited. Definitely buy your tickets. There's a few left. I'm sorry, a little more than a few. A few normally means 2, but a little more than a few. So it's only $25. You can buy them directly at the box office, or you can buy them online at seacoastrep.org. And then the ticketing agency has a little fee that they attach onto it, which has nothing to do with us or the rep, just their fee for doing it online. But still, well worth it. We have
$30.
We have Dina Flanagan doing a gallery reading, which will be amazing, connecting you with your past unloved ones. We have our Bigfoot hunter, Jason Morse, coming as well, talk a little Bigfoot. We have our raffle going on with amazing guests. So a lot of them I really want to keep myself, but I can't.
Proceeds all go for the raffle. All go to the Boston Children's Hospital.
Yeah, which is awesome place. We have Jane Riley from Ghost Hunters Academy coming.
You will get to investigate with her.
Yep, you'll get that opportunity to meet her one-on-one.
Maybe we can even get her to sing.
Maybe. That would be cool. Very, very cool.
Cool.
Raise the energy in the place with that.
Yeah.
A bunch of other things, so definitely get your tickets. It's well worth it. Only $25. And we'll have fun. It starts at 6 o'clock. If you are going to run a little late, we are okay with that. We'll just kind of quietly bring you in. So, anyways, I think that's about it.
We will see you Thursday.
Yeah. We're psyched.
And next Monday for Rock and Roll Show.
Yeah. Fix it. So anyways, everybody have a fabulous week. And Thursday, hopefully.
I just want to say thank you to anybody that listens to our show that came out to Joni's book signing yesterday. It was simply amazing. People were lined up down the street, and that she sold out of her books.
Yeah.
That right there is awesome. So thank you.
Yes, definitely thank you. We were so psyched that everybody that did come out. We were shocked when we pulled up at the beginning. They were like, oh my gosh.
Steve Earhart said he saw the lights block out as well.
Awesome. So three of you.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So.
All right. Well, everybody have an awesome week. Good luck to the Patriots on Thursday night. And I guess we'll see everybody Thursday.
Yeah. See ya!
rocker, Keith Ramsey from Deep South Paranormal, and you're listening to Steve and Naomi on Into the Unknown Realm on DTM Wicked Radio.
Rolling Hills Asylum. Located in East Bethany, New York, just minutes between two major airports, Rolling Hills Asylum is a hotbed of paranormal activity. They have been featured on Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Challenge, as well as Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters. Rolling Hills Asylum has been named the #2 most haunted location in the United States by HauntedNorthAmerica.com. The property was established on January 1st, 1827, as the county poor farm. Throughout the years, it has operated as a poor farm, infirmary, orphanage, tuberculosis hospital, nursing home, and more. Past residents and inmates consist of widows, orphans, physically disabled, mentally unstable, murderers, and more. Over 1,700 bodies are buried in unmarked graves, and hundreds more deaths went undocumented. Rolling Hills Asylum is known for a plethora of phenomena, including disembodied voices, doors slamming, footsteps, sounds of furniture moving, full-body apparitions, shadow people, ghostly touches, and numerous Class A EVP. Rolling Hills Asylum proudly offers historical and flashlight tours, 4- and 8-hour public ghost hunts, 8- and 9-hour private ghost hunts, and more, by appointment or pre-booking only. For more information, please visit www.rollinghillsasylum.com. That's www.rollinghillsasylum.com. Or give them a call, 585-502-4066. That's 585-502-4066. Rolling Hills Asylum. What are you doing this weekend?
The historical Fort William Henry Conference Center and Resort is a proud sponsor of DTM Wicked Radio. If you're looking for a relaxing getaway, the historical Fort William Henry Resort and Conference Center is your destination. Come enjoy the beautiful mountains, the gorgeous lake, and everything Lake George has to offer in upstate New York, right off the Adirondack Mountains. For reservations, you can go to www.fortwilliamhenry.com or call 1-800-234-0267. The Fort William Henry Resort and Conference Center is your destination for the perfect getaway. The Caring Coaching Center is a proud sponsor of DTM Wicked Radio Network. What would it mean to you to have better health, more energy, more vitality, and an all-around better life? At the Caring Coaching Center, our mission is to be your partner in helping you reach your health, fitness, and lifestyle goals. We do this through a dynamic 6-month program that helps our clients reach their goals and their full potential. And it all starts with a free, no-obligation, 50-minute health history consultation. Just visit us at the www.thecaringcoachingcenter.com to schedule your free consultation today. Or you can go to www.dtmwickedradio.com, click the sponsor page, scroll down to the Caring Coaching Center tab, click on the tab and open up to the website to start your free consultation today. It's all here on dtmwickedradio.com.